Baumberger.
Okay.
I'm honored to present him. I know Herb a little bit from when I was in the Munich office, and he's sort of the quintessential jack of all trades. So he's a guy who can handle just about any engineering challenge, and I'm super excited to hear about what he's going to talk about today. He's going to cover embracing the power of the GPU to enable rich 3D experiences.
Exactly. So unleashing rich experiences with GPU power in the cloud is what I'm going to be introducing today. And yeah, as Joel already said, I'm Herbert Baumberger. I'm a distinguished engineer, which is a senior manager, and a maker and jack of all trades and repair guy, and you name it, at the Munich office. I've been there for 18 and a half years, and there's also my LinkedIn link. So I've seen lots of Sapient activities happening and lots of name changes and lots of exciting things happening. So for my flash talk today, I have a little agenda that I would like to share to begin with. First of all, I want to set the context of these rich experiences that we're trying to unleash, right? What are the needs and challenges that we're facing? And what is, of course, the available cloud technology that I'm offering, putting out there as an offer to solve and overcome these challenges and fulfill these needs, right? Then, of course, I have like 2 use cases that have been built in the organization with me. There's like a little pre-recorded videos of those. First one is high definition render streaming. And of course, I'll introduce it, have the demo and summarize that. And the second one is virtual photography. That's actually something that came out from a sister agency in the Publicis group. But more to that as we move along. Right. So, what are these needs and challenges that we're seeing that what the clients and the consumers are putting out there, right? So everybody is expecting rich experiences. They're used to nice computers at work. Maybe the mobile phone is not there up to the state, but people still want to have these rich experiences, and of course. Businesses want to provide these rich experiences to any of their prospect clients and consumers, no matter what hardware they have. They don't want to keep somebody out of the game. They want to have make everybody feel good and sell to them, right? Hyper personalization, so more and more personalization for everybody, and to meet everybody's expectations around. And their own user context, like families and young professionals and elderly and this and that. Everybody's online, and it's getting more and more segmented, and there's lots of room for personalization, right? And to reflect the user's context. Of course, localization is a topic we want to put out the content to all geographies in all languages, and this is not only the official languages in the places that we are, but we want to have stuff like English in Germany, right? There's lots of expats out there all over the place that want to have content that they can understand and use and make the decisions, right? Informed decisions, right? Current affairs and events are of course also relevant, right, to the content that we want to provide. There's Diwali coming up. There's Christmas. There's the Oktoberfest, at least the Oktoberfest season, right? And stuff like that, and 4th of July, and there's all sorts of stuff happening around the globe that we want to apply into these experiences, right? And of course, and that's especially true for the automotive industry, where these use cases are actually originating from. Is like there's a sheer number of possible configurations and combinations of packages and features and paints and stuff like that, which may not be true for the startup like auto manufacturers that have come up and have been created in the last couple of years, but it's super true at least for the classic big names that like the Germans out there that we all know, and they have like tens of millions possible combinations, which of course leads to a massive challenge if you want to download that to the phone. And all of that needs to be put out in the market faster and faster again. So time is precious, right? So you cannot spend like hours and months and years developing stuff. You want to put it out there as fast as you can. And we want to provide flexibility for business partners, like advertisement agencies that produce content and localized content, maybe handouts at shows, at trade shows and stuff like that. Journalists that write like editorials or editorials, they want to have content that kind of matches their story but still is on brand and reflects what we're trying to communicate, right? And yeah, everybody's trying to cut down their budgets, right? Want to achieve more with less budget in less time, which is a challenge. And especially now with COVID, this is like putting even more pressure on it. Like people cannot travel anymore to go off to places and meet in person. So everything needs to be digitized, right? Technology to solve all this, to overcome all that in one way or the other is available, right? There are GPUs, I guess everybody's familiar with the term, that the nice graphic cards that like are used in gaming computers and for, of course, AI and ML and stuff like that, but they are available on all the cloud providers, right? So we have the flexibility to even choose the cloud provider to run this on, AWS, Azure, Google, you name it, right? Internet bandwidth is sufficient in most areas, right? A HD stream, which is state of the art still, right? 4K is coming up and then becoming more and more relevant, of course, on phones and computers, but it's still 1080p is considered high definition, right? That only requires 20 megabits per second, and that can easily be consumed in a 4G and LTE network, of course, and 5G. That's not going to be a challenge anymore. And then with 5G, we can go up to 4K, 6K, 10K, whatever, because 5G will give us the bandwidth out there. And so we have the stream. We can produce the stream. We can send it to the client device, right? And what we've seen in the past, decoding that stream is no challenge for a regular middle of the road phone nowadays anymore, or a middle of the road computer. It's an MP4 stream kind of, and it can be decoded without much pressure on the device. So this is just ready to be used, right? There are some services that are applying these technologies. Let me begin with the first one, which is kind of famous. It's Google Stadia. It's focusing very much on gaming, right? They want to provide, and it's evolving and spreading and getting more and more developers and game studios on board to provide rich games without the need to install and download these games, but to start right away because they're running on the server, right? And you just consume the stream. NVIDIA is putting out an SDK, Cloud XR, where they are focusing very much on AR and VR applications. We've seen that kind of application with where we you have the try on of the shoes in the Adidas store, I think it was, right? Of course, if you do the calculation in the cloud, you won't have to do it on a mobile phone. You won't have the limitations of the calculation power of the mobile phone, because in the cloud you can ramp up your system that will be capable of producing augmented reality experience with even more realistic results than we see now. Microsoft is even putting out a streaming toolkit that is, of course, focusing on the Azure cloud, but you can install it anywhere. That is ready for large-scale implementations and rollouts. If you want to put it into any kind of application, you can have a client as a web browser or a native app or even a Windows desktop app and stuff like that, and even Xamarin, right? You manage the scalability of your VMs in the cloud yourself, right? If you don't want to do all that, there's a service out there from a company that was recently acquired by Unity. Unity, some may know, is a leading game development engine. Half of the games that are being played out there are built with Unity, and they're focusing very much on 3D, of course. And they've recently, in the last couple of years, expanded their footprint into industrial, non-gaming, more professional applications, which is, of course, very interesting when going to a Unity conference. There's the hardcore game developers, and then there's industry people. So it's kind of a cultural mix that is very interesting. And they've acquired Furious as a HD streaming platform, which is a platform ready to use. You just upload your Unity experience, or if you build it with another gaming engine, that's also fine. And it's ready to stream to anybody's client to be embedded and stuff like that. and they take care, depending on, of course, the package and the subscription, they take care of scaling and all the Kubernetes magic and Dockerizing and you name it of these VMs so that they are ready when the users are coming in and want to use the experience. So they're ready to go. Now, having said all that, let's come to the first use case, high definition render streaming, right? So what is that? Basically, I touched a little bit already on it. Basically, we have in the cloud, we have a bunch of VMs that we manage, of course, although we have managed by a platform that have the GPU power, right? The GPUs are out there and they're becoming cheaper and cheaper as we speak. And in the VM, we run the 3D experience that we built with a gaming engine, right? And that of course, wants to be model true, right? How do we achieve being model true, especially when people spend like a lot of money on a car or something like that? We get from the card system, we get like the card designs that are going actually into production, right? And as we move along and as they change, maybe when they have like a model change or when they're still in pre-production and still making changes, there's like pipelines that are available and workflows that are available to keep receiving these updates with reduced effort over time. And we can run like 3-4 of these experiences, depending on how much resolution we want to provide and stuff like that. We can run 3 or 4 of those on any VM. So of course, the scaling needs to be taken care of as we have a limited number of users, concurrent users on any VM. And this 3D experience, kind of like a 3D game, is running on the server, right? And with the NVIDIA cards that are on the server, that are built into these servers, that have like hardware encoding, the video experience that would be displayed on the screen is being encoded to a stream that can be streamed via WebRTC down to any client, right? And even a couple clients can share a session and consume the same stream as we speak. So I could be like configuring my car, having a look at it in 3D on my phone, and I could like call in my wife. She's like at the park, relaxing a little bit today, and she can put out her phone, and we can actually have a joint session of looking at the 3D model without being in the same location. And of course, with hardware encoding, that has no impact on the performance of the experience itself, because it's not costing any CPU or GPU power. It's like a dedicated chip that does that, right? I have a little demo that we have built for a recent pitch. And here you can see we have like a car that we have the model, and we focused very much on the exterior, and there's like nice little paint and then license plates, and you see the shininess of the chrome, and it's all being polished. And we threw that together within a couple of days, and by using like the high definition render pipeline, which is like has been released in Unity, you can achieve these more or less photorealistic experiences, right? Here we have like the car sitting in some kind of environment somewhere in London, right? That is, and it is of course remote controlled by the user, right? You could see sometimes my mouse moving there, or you could use pinch and zoom and stuff like that, or even key input. But also, of course, when you embed this into the HTML page, you can have, of course, HTML controls that connect into the signaling, and just with some simple JavaScript send the commands to the server to swap like the color or to swap the environment to this industrial setting, right? So let me summarize this quickly. How is it done? First of all, you want to integrate into the corporate card workflow with a tool, for example, Pixies, to make sure that you have the right card designs always available for you, right? And you don't have like reverse engineered kind of models out there. All right. You want to build the 3D experience in a gaming engine, right? And you use all the fidelity that you have there. Of course, you want to optimize the materials and shaders to make it look good. And this is something for like a classical game developer to do. It's like a nice task for them. There are like shader guys out there that specialize in this. So get these specialists in and do them for you. And you want to embed and connect all that to your HTML application to have like an appealing integrated experience with your UI that you have in your overall experience. And of course, you want to manage the scaling, as you only have like 4 sessions per GPU, whether it's using a platform or doing your smart implementations and doing your infrastructure work, right? So summarizing this, what are the benefits? You have full HD, animated and interactive, and with no limits regarding fidelity and polygon count. You can have like endless number. You can open doors and this and that because it's running on the server. And if you need more memory, just buy more memory for your servers, right? Of course, the cost will go up, but still it's not being limited, right? It's just a matter of budgets and management, right? And that runs on any low quality or low profile hardware that is nowadays available. And it doesn't even require a download because all you need is like the page that hosts it and the stream that starts right away, right? Of course, you can share the sessions and with friends and family, and it does reduce your battery drain because if you have like a WebXR kind of experience, you have all the calculations happening on the phone. Here, we're not doing much of the calculation on the phone. It's just simple user gestures. That is like a no-brainer for the phones nowadays. So it will extend the battery life of the user and will not heat up the device as we might experience if we do it on the phone itself. Coming to the second use case that we have, that has been out there for about a year now. It's virtual photo shooting. What is that? Basically, we're looking at ways at virtualizing the photo shooting. For example, again, it's coming from the automotive industry, right? You can imagine that if you want to shoot a photo of a car that is not being sold yet, that is like pre-release in front of the Louvre in Paris, you're going to be challenged, right? You need to pack the car, you need to get to the site, you need to make sure that you have nice weather. You have like a massive number of people, photographers and art directors and this and that and staffers and gophers. And then you want to log off the area and you want to make sure that the weather is nice, right? And in the morning hour, like there's like 60 minutes or something, the golden hour in the morning or in the evening, you have like this very limited time and you want to make sure that the place is empty and not convoluted with tourists and buses and balloons or what have not. This is a massive challenge, right? But if we virtualize that, again, with using the CAD models from the tech designers and have a 3D capture of the environment, we can do this photo shooting. We can extend this to 1 hour on this one day that we might get lucky to have the beautiful, perfect sky. We can extend this for days and weeks, and we can have like 6 cars shooting and in 4 colors, and it is like it scales enormously, right? How are we doing that? Basically, we have like an art director's application. This is like a suggested approach, right? We have like an art director's application that runs on a user's desktop, laptop, tablet, even a phone if you want. Where the art director sits there and kind of creates and sets the scene and basically defines in a preview kind of like looking through the search a little search thing on the phone on the camera in the old days and kind of has a preview of how this scene is going to be, and he then sends this production request to an asset renderer service that again has the GPU and is running in the cloud, and that and maybe with a potential additional renderer package creates the photorealistic image for the art director to be used for his further activities, right? Why we want to do this in the cloud? Well, we want to, people working from home, not even myself. I have the machine that has the GPU power is back in the office, right? If I want to do GPU stuff, I would have to travel back to the office. Here on my laptop, which is a nice little handy device, it performs well, but it does not have the GPU power to do that. So if I put that to the cloud, I can scale without the need for investing into individual people's hardware, right? I can enable a bunch of art directors and even more. We're coming to that in a second. Here you see a little demo, and that was built by our sister agency Tilt Shift, and we're collaborating with them closely. So that's also there's like Teams channels that we collaborate, and there was guys from Sweden also involved in optimizing the model of that specific vehicle that we see there. And there you can see how the art director in that application that they've built is like setting the camera and is changing the ISO value and the shutter speed and the white balance and all these settings that from a digital SLR camera. And he also has the option, of course, to modify the vehicle that is being shot, right? And turn it around and move it and go to another scene and go to another time of the day. If you have captured the midnights kind of settings, like on Times Square, don't want to have this maybe in the morning hours because you want to have all the neon lights, right? So you can do all that and play around, and then at the end say, this is the photo that I want, right? And you send it off. Coming to the summary again, same concept, right? You want to integrate with the corporate cloud workflows. Use 3D captures and not just the dome that we may have like on the web experience of the realistic appearance, kind of like you saw in the Louvre or in Amalienborg in Copenhagen. There's like statues and the water fountain and stuff like that you want to have as a that you want to use for including your image and move stuff around, right? You want to again optimize your materials and shaders to have photorealistic experience and separate this concern, as I said, from desktop and tablet to rendering in the cloud, right? And of course, the additional renderer package might become relevant, especially if you're going for print, right? On the web, it's so important, right? Summarizing the benefits again. It does eradicate logistic to almost nothing, right? Nobody needs to travel. The art director sits in his chair, like myself here, and does what he does. Of course, confidentiality challenges. You don't need to block like some remote beach where tourists may flock in and they may take photos and leak them onto the internet. You don't want that to happen, right? That challenge is gone because it's all happening digitally in your controlled environment, and nobody will be able to access this, right? There's hardly any post-processing. In real photo shootings, there's a lot of post-processing, like stamping of reflections. There's people holding up mirrors and lights and airplanes flying by you and birds landing on some statue that you may not want to have. And usually you have like the interns and sitting there post-processing the images after the real actual photo shooting, right? That is eradicated because in the digital world, these unexpected, unwanted things are not present, and these events are not happening, right? You have full control over what's there. And you can, of course, conserve the environment that you're shooting in, like the space, the square in front of the Louvre, to be reused again and again and again and again, and you have no time pressure, right? Which is very good to let the artist in the art director flow and do what he does, right? You can freely position the camera, objects, lights. You can play around. You have full flexibility and without much time needed for like pulling wires and getting stuff out of the way and stuff like that, right? And of course, you have fully emulated SLR camera settings, as I said. There can, of course, be special effects added in and additional content, like a brand advocate or some celebrity or you name it, right? You could easily have like a 3D scan of your celebrity sit in the car or stand by it and place them as you please, right? And even change the outfits if you have a different kind of setting, right? Cloud rendering empowers the standard hardware on the art director, I said. And there's another thing. You could, of course, run this as a service to have the web experience just send data to the service, and the service would create the hyper-personalized, as I said in the beginning, the hyper-personalized imagery for your web page, depending on these parameters, of course, maybe within some boundaries that are set by your creative team. But still, you can have like the roof box on the car if you're having a family guy that is living in the mountains. You have like this and that background and settings. So you have like endless number of parameters. You can produce a sheer unlimited number of images in real time and use them as the user moves along, as they change their configurations. And you can, in the background, reproduce all the assets that they have been using and that you will be using on the follow-up pages as he moves along, and it will just be like a sticky experience with all these assets matching the mindset and the experience that they may have had in the configurator, right? So stuff that you might never think of in endless numbers of combinations, right? That already brings me to the end. I hope I was on time. I guess I was. Thank you, Day, right?